Hey everybody, welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am Paul Shirey the Beard, joined by my compatriot the Bald, Christopher Bumbray.
Well, hello, Paul. How are you today?
Well, wonderful. Today is Memorial Day, so I went to go get my coffee right quick, and it looked like a Sunday morning. It is dead out there. It's like nothing.
Speaking of which, thank you for your service, Paul.
Well, you're welcome. Typically, you would thank me on Veterans Day, though. Today is about the fallen. So,
okay.
For Memorial Day, we thank those that can't be with us today. Because most people go and have.
We have that ours is Remembrance Day in the fall.
Yeah, I know it's a little different in different countries. In England, they have. I remember I was there for theirs. I had no idea when it was happening, and it was they don't fuck around. Like they put on like a legit show for their fallen, which is
it's a big deal here too. And
it kind of makes me ashamed a little bit because they don't really like here in the States. They're like, oh, it's a day off. And we go, we'll have a fucking barbecue.
It's a really big deal here in Canada, but we actually don't get the day off. But at work, you get like you take the moment of silence and stuff like that. Even I work in radio, and we take a moment of silence like where nothing airs on the air. We just like like the moment of silence at 11 is like celebrated by everyone, and you wear the poppy.
Yep.
You wear the poppy most of the month leading up to it. November, I usually do. Actually, in fact, on my passport photo, I'm wearing a poppy because I had it taken then.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. I guess I'm a little
yeah,
a little ashamed a bit that we don't do as much here in the States. Do you think we would? You think it would be a foregone conclusion, but it's not. But so it goes. Today I'm going to go with another veteran buddy of mine who actually lives 2 houses down from me. We served together in both Afghanistan and Iraq, and we're going to take our boys to the base, and we're going to go pay our respects.
Nice.
At the memorial there. They have a memorial for our unit because we lost 55 people on our Iraq deployment, and quite a few friends on there. So we're going to go pay our respects and be a good thing to do.
Yeah, man.
And to take the boys.
Yeah.
Kind of make them. I know they're like, oh god, they'd rather do anything but that. But
no,
you gotta teach them some respect.
Yeah,
little bastards.
So I'm a bit hoarse today because I had my high school reunion on Saturday night.
Oh wow, you actually went
20
years.
Oh, yeah, 20 years. Yeah, and it was it was fun. We had a good time. Too much fun. It lasted until we were at a bar. We closed down the bar, and then we went back to the guy who had organized the place, who's a DJ at this bar, who lives like down the street. We went to his apartment, and Laura and I were there until like 5 a.m. And it was yeah, I woke up the next day like literally praying for death. And then Laura dragged me to the gym because it was a workout, and I had promised her, like I was like, yeah, if we go to the thing, I'll go to the gym with you. And then she was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, well, I'm gonna hold you to that. And then I figured because we were both so drunk on Sunday night and so hungover on Saturday night, and then so hungover.
Like you can't even remember what day.
I thought that she was gonna be like, I can miss a day, but nope. So we had to go, yeah, and it was I mean, whatever, it was like an arm day, so most of the stuff was sitting and lying down, but it was
just like I can just see you just laying there, just like holding like a 10-pound weight, like
no, and she was making me do like she does like supersets and stuff like that, and
yeah, ugh. Good times, baby, good times.
Got a good pump on though, but. And I got into trouble. at the gym. Oh, I got really mad actually because I was at the gym, and the guy who's like in charge of the weight room, I guess, I don't know what it is at the Y, comes over to me and he goes, "You're not allowed to have personal trainers here." I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "You two, your relationship is personal trainer and client." And I said, "This is my girlfriend." And then the guy didn't believe me, and I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Well, it's my girlfriend, so I'd fuck off." Like it was kind of one of those things. Like I was pissed off, right? And I was like, "It's my girlfriend, and we're working out together, so leave us alone." And he did, but he was like watching us the whole time. And I went down. I complained. I rarely complain about things, but I complained to the reception. I was like, I'm here with my girlfriend working out, and she's showing me a couple of things because I'm following her plan, and I'm allowed to do that. And I really resent what just happened up there. And then the receptionist was very, very apologetic. She was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's like the guy. It sounds like he was being a total creep." But it was like,
Why couldn't you have a personal trainer there to begin with?
because they have their own personal trainers. It was because it's a private gym. They have their own personal trainers. They want me to hire
I
theirs. But I was like,
gotcha. I
fuck that
gotcha.
shit. She's my girlfriend. I could go work out with her if I want. And they were very apologetic. I think the guy got into trouble. But it's just like, what the fuck, dude? And I told him, I said, like, I don't want to push it, but I said, like, next time I go, if this happens again, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit.
I'm
Because
gonna
really,
fucking smash his head with a weight,
no,
toxic
I
avenger
was
style.
I was actually very mad. So, because that's
I believe it. I mean, that's a pretty
pretty,
obnoxious thing.
yeah,
And
no,
I've gone to the gym like with my girlfriend, and
mhm.
she'll work out with me, and it's not like a thing where I'm like coaching her like for
No,
each
but
rep. I'm
but
just like I'm
but
like, hey,
she's
okay, so I'm gonna do this, and then this is what you should do next, and then I
yeah,
may say like, oh, hey, like pull your shoulders back or what, just like simple shit. I'm not like
yeah, so you don't hurt
training
yourself.
her. She's
No,
not
and
paying me money.
no, and Laura's more experienced too, so she was like showing me, how to position myself and stuff. But it's so stupid because, like, I would do a set and then she would do a set, and then we would go back, we'd trade off, on the same equipment. Like if she was my personal trainer, she wouldn't be doing sets too. We were working out for
Yeah.
90 minutes
If
and
she was a personal trainer, she would just be standing there
yeah,
watching.
45 minutes of it was her work. So like I'm paying her to work out. Like it doesn't make any sense. It was so stupid. I was so mad. It's dumb.
Dude sounds like a straight tool.
Yeah, honestly, stupid. I
Fucking
was
idiot.
really, I was really mad, and then I told the guy, and he backed off like pretty quick. But
You're like, I'm gonna punch you in the dick if you say one more
I
word.
just told him I was like, "This is my girlfriend, all right, and leave us alone." And he was like, "Oh, okay, okay," and he walked away. But it was just like, "Fuck off," and he was watching me the rest of the time, and I was like, "Fuck this shit." It was
Mm,
what really drove me crazy is he followed us into the other room when we were stretching, and I saw him watching us, and then she was like, he's watching us again. I was like, "Fuck," and I just went right downstairs then, and then he heard me, and I was like, "Excuse me, I really don't take kindly to your people supervising the gym." Assuming that my girlfriend is my personal trainer. What do you? I said I know, and I even told her. I said pretty loud. I said I know it's hard to believe that I can get a girlfriend that looks like that, but but I assure you it's true. And I said, and I really resent this guy.
Well, why didn't Laura just come over and like say, yeah, like I sleep
She
with
did.
this
Oh,
girl?
she did. She did. She was like to the guy, yeah, I'm his girlfriend. We live together.
Like what? Do I need her to like blow me in front of you to prove
Yeah,
it? Like what the
exactly. That was
fuck?
the thing. I was like, do you want us to make out or something like that? Or do you want to see our driver's licenses? We live at the same address. Like it
Like,
was just
honey, pull
bullshit.
your pants down. Like we're just gonna
Yeah,
do
we
this
go
right
there. We
here.
go. We go there all the time, and I was really the guy's an asshole. Anyway, he's not gonna do it again, I'm sure. But it's like I do not want that again. Like if that ever fucking
Dude,
happens.
I do not want. He's so
The
Canadian.
next time I see him,
I'm gonna give him some harsh words.
no, I just want him to stay the fuck away from me. To be honest, like I was mad. Like it'd be in his best interest not to talk to me.
Sir, I'm going to advise you.
No,
Anyway,
I'll yell at him in front of the whole fucking
like,
gym and
listen, you little fucking panty
yeah,
waste.
put him in his place. Fucking
But why is he like hired to do that? To
no, he's
watch
just
people, or like
no, no.
what's the deal?
His job is that he's supposed to be around and walk around the gym so that if you need help getting like with something, or you need a spotter or something like that, that's what he's supposed to do.
Wow, that's like a weird position.
He's not a trainer necessarily, but he's supposed to just be like that, like to help you out. If you have a question about how to use a machine, he's supposed to answer you and stuff like that. Like that's his job.
You should just ask him questions like just take up all his time.
Mm, no.
Next time, just go in there and be like, "Hey, how do you use this?"
Yeah.
And then while he's showing you, be like, "That's actually wrong. What you're doing."
Yeah.
Dumb.
Dumb. I was mad. Yeah, I was mad.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
And I was hungover too, so that would make things a lot worse.
Ooh, mad and hungover.
Like
It's not a good
like
combo.
badly hungover. So it made things
Should have
worse.
barfed on him.
I felt like I was gonna throw up the
That
whole
was
time.
awesome. It's fucking
Yeah.
hot cake his face.
Yeah. But it was fun, but it was surreal. It was very surreal going back to my 20th high school reunion, seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time. And everybody knew the site too. And they were all kind of like, oh, wow, you look at you. We were seeing you travel and they read the reviews and stuff. So that was kind of nice. But did you go to your high school reunion? You're 20?
Fuck no, no, no. I
No?
was not. I was like all through my junior year. I was like just like this fat nerd that
Oh,
read
me too.
comics and went to
No,
the
no, no, me
movies.
too.
I was not a popular kid. Like
Me
I
too. I
was.
wasn't popular either, dude. I was a nerd. I was
And then my senior year, I lost like 55 pounds. I started working out for the first time in my life. So it
same thing.
changed my life completely. I grew my hair super long, like I'm doing again now. And people didn't even recognize me. Like, I think they assumed like who I was, like left the school. And I was just like this new kid. And I pretty much just kept to myself. I had friends, but I didn't have like some army of friends that I cared enough about to go back to
I
a
didn't, I didn't,
reunion.
I didn't have many friends either. I mean, the reason I went was because my best friend when I was a kid, like that I was inseparable for like all through high school, him and I had a big fight, and years ago, when we were still in high school, and hadn't spoken in a long, long time. And I knew that he was going, and I was very curious to kind of reconnect with this person and see what they were up to, and we did, and that was nice. And but I was. It's funny. The one thing that was kind of annoying about it was I had a lot of people come up to me the whole night, drunk and trying to apologize for stuff that had happened in high school. But I was just telling them, I was like, guys, really, I don't really think about it anymore. Like, it's kind of over.
I'm so
It was,
sorry about that,
no,
guy.
and it was like people that weren't even that bad. I was just like, guys, I mean, it's fine. It was 20 years ago. It's a lot of water under the bridge. I don't really think about it these days anymore. And I don't, if it had been the 10-year, I probably would have been a little too raw to have gone, and I didn't go. But 20-year, I mean, whatever. I had no ill will. I had a good time.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's a couple.
the guy who hosted it actually was kind of a dick to me in high school, but he was great at the party. I mean, guy was buying me fucking booze all night. I went back to his apartment. I drank all of his booze, hung with his girlfriend, with my girlfriend. S- Smoked all of his weed. Ooh. I wasn't supposed to say that.
Damn,
Yeah, yeah. So I had a great time.
isn't it legal there though?
It
It's
is.
legal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had a great time. I had a
I had a great time.
something I don't usually do either. So it was yeah. So I mean I probably cost the guy hundreds of dollars. So just me.
I'm not
One of
editing that
one of,
out.
one of them even went out and bought me McDonald's at one point because I said I was hungry, and the guy was
What?
like, "I'll go get him some McDonald's." Yeah, he was a nice guy. He just showed
Just
his
went
me.
and bought you
Yeah,
McDonald's
yeah,
because
he just
you're
surprised me. He
hungry.
was like, "Hey, I got you some McDonald's," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, it wasn't just for me; it was for other people too. But he was like,
Oh.
"Ah." Figured some people were hungry, and I was, "Fuck yeah, man!" I had a cheeseburger. I felt great. It was like that was perfect. I was able to keep drinking another 3 hours after having that, because at that point I was kind of done. I was kind of saying, I should probably go home. And then he went
But
out and
then
bought
you
me.
got that McDonald's rally burger.
Yeah,
Holy
oh yeah, and
shit.
I had that burger, and then I was like, "Fuck yeah, okay, I can drink another 3 hours," and I did, and I regret it now.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's funny. Well, I'm glad you had fun
I did have
at your
fun.
20 year.
Yeah,
Um, and I have no regrets about missing mine. But life goes on. Maybe
life.
my 30 year.
Yeah,
I never even got an invite. So even to this day, I guess I'm still the outcast. That's
I mean,
fine.
we didn't have a real one, and that was it. I think of you though in high school. I don't think of you as a nerd. I think of you especially in your last couple of years. Like I imagine, do you ever see 3 o'clock High?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
imagine you as Richard Tyson in 3 o'clock High,
Which one was Richard Tyson?
the
Was
bad
that?
boy
Oh. No, I wasn't. But see, I wasn't a bully or anything
with
like
like the long hair. No, he wasn't a bully either though. And it was like the long hair, and it was like, and he's like, "I'll see you at 3 o'clock."
that.
Well,
I mean,
because
it
the
really
whole the
was.
whole
I
that
was.
movie though, he wasn't
I
bullying
kept to
him.
myself though. I just didn't. I didn't. I mean, I interacted with people. I had friends, but I didn't have a lot, and I didn't like. I just wasn't. I didn't want to deal with anybody, and I didn't connect with anybody because I didn't know. There's hardly anybody else read comics. There's hardly anybody else that was into movies like I was. Like I knew every fucking director. Like I carried my big movie Bible book with me everywhere, just constantly referencing
Me
it.
too.
Just, I mean, it was like
I
my
had
education. It was like it never
yeah,
left.
I had
And I just
I
didn't
had
know
two of
anybody
those.
like that.
I had two of those. One was the Leonard Maltin movie guide, and it's pretty cool because I'm friends with his daughter now on Twitter, who's really nice. And he's nice too. He retweets me sometimes. He's a great guy. And then the Video Hound Golden Movie Retriever book. It was this huge book that I loved. But no, 3 o'clock High. He wasn't a bully in 3 o'clock High though. He was trying because the guy was a fucking pussy, and he was trying to teach him to be
Not to be a
responsible,
pussy.
not to be a pussy, and that was the thing. And he couldn't buy it, and then but there was respect though. He respected him at the end. And I still think watching that movie that he let him win the fight
Yeah, probably.
because he saw that he put like a lot of himself into it and didn't like. And it was I was actually thinking about doing that for best movie you never saw this week. I think that'd be a good one.
I just watched it again recently.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It holds up
It's
pretty
got a
well.
cool score by I think Tangerine
Tangerine
Dream.
Dream. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yeah.
good times. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong when you have Tangerine Dream score. But yeah, that's actually one I used to watch all the time as a
Yeah, me
kid. So.
too. Me too. Oh yeah.
Well, anyways, I guess we got a few things to talk about for news items, some interesting tidbits. That wasn't a crazy week. Kind of
Yeah.
a slow week, really.
Oh, but we did miss one though that's on your agenda. So the big story for me this week was that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood screened at Cannes, and they also released a new trailer for it. We just missed it when we were
No, we
when we
talked
did the
about the trailer
podcast.
that morning.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the reviews came out anyway after the trailer, and the reviews were like unanimously positive for the most part.
Unanimously positive
Like
for the
almost,
most
well,
part.
almost unanimous. I know, they were almost unanimous. It was like 99.9% of them were great. There were a couple naysayers that had some issues, but overall, though, it sounds amazing.
And I thought it was interesting. Somebody had asked Tarantino a question, and basically was trying to get like a fucking news bite kind of question, something about Margot Robbie not having that many lines in the movie, and something about female feminist agenda kind of thing, and she had this long-winded question that was purely, you could just tell, just a big setup question to try and get some shit out of him. And Tarantino just straight up was like, "I reject your hypotheses."
Yeah, I
And
think he
then,
handled it well. I think
and I
that was
was like,
people are
and there's
upset
like
about it,
people
but I
that
think
are
he
like,
handled it well.
yeah. So I saw people, some person was like, "Can we just agree that Tarantino is a terrible person, a terrible filmmaker, and all this other shit?" And I'm like, "Why? Because he didn't answer your dumb fuck question." Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, most people though, if you look on Twitter, there were a couple people that said that, but it was most people were kind of on his side, it seemed. I mean, he's not. I
but
mean,
then
he
you had, but then you had people too that were like supposedly, I guess, defending him, but at the same time saying, "Well, he is kind of a dick." It's like, why? Why is he a
yeah.
dick? Like,
He's not a
what
dick.
did
He
he
knows
do that?
he knows he's talented. He's got an ego, but he's talented. He's got the talent to back it up. That's the thing. And female roles. I mean, whatever you say, one of the greatest of all time is Beatrix Kiddo in Kill Bill.
Yeah,
And
anybody that's going to try and
Jackie
attack
Brown
Tarantino
and
over
Jackie Brown.
female
You know,
characters, come on.
and
Like,
giving
he's had female leads. He's given roles to win. Like, he
and
resurrected
having
Pam
women
Grier. He gave
women of
Uma
color
Thurman.
as his stars. Long before it was fashionable.
Yeah. So, and you know what? He didn't do it for any kind of like, he didn't do that because he wanted to be some kind of fucking poster boy for feminism. He did it because that's just what he wanted. That was the role that he wanted to do. Exactly what he wanted. It's a story he wanted to tell. There was no agenda behind it. He's just trying to be a storyteller and make a
He
film.
wasn't he wasn't checking any boxes.
No, and that's the thing. But then you have people that are like, "But you didn't give Margot Robbie as many lines." It's like, why don't you just shut the fuck up? Just sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up. Like, get
I mean,
out of here.
even Roby though, when she answered the question, was kind of like, I mean, that she was ambushed just as much as he was, though.
But that's what they do. That's what they do at Cannes too. They're just like they're. It's such a pretentious kind of place. It seems.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like. I really don't have any desire to ever go to Cannes. I'm fine. I'll be good. Live the
I
rest
did
of
I did want to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I heard that like 150 journalists got shut out because they're so poorly organized, and apparently the security guards, they're such assholes there. They're like physically like pushing people away. Fuck, better not do that to me, buddy. I'll
my
call the police.
Don't I'll
Seriously.
call the police.
I will. I'm not gonna
You're
fight them.
so
I call the
Canadian.
cops. Of course, I call the police. Let the police deal with it. Let the police deal with it. It'll give them bad fucking press. That's for sure. I'm gonna let somebody put their hands on me. I'll call the police. You're not allowed to do that. I'm not. I will. I'll call the police.
Sir, I'm gonna call the police on you.
Hey, whatever. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna rough the guy up. He's probably
Yeah.
300 pounds and fucking built. I'm not gonna do that.
Bust them
I'll
in the
call the
mouth.
police. Let the police do it. And if the police don't want to do it, well, fuck it. Op-ed. Think piece. I'll get retweets.
Buddy, you're going on Twitter.
Yeah, that's what you do these
You're
days.
gonna be on Gawker.
It reminds me of. Did you ever see Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan?
Oh God, so long ago. I don't even know.
Way back. Well, there's a part in the movie where he's some neighborhood ruffians are talking to him, and they're like, "Hey, man, you better watch it, or else." And he goes, "Or else what? You're gonna pound my face in?" And he goes, "No, man, it's the '90s. We're gonna sue your ass."
Oh boy. Speaking of Cannes security,
Mhm.
I didn't put this on the agenda. I don't think. No, I didn't. But the Rambo Last Blood trailer leaked.
Okay, so part of me is mad that it leaked, but also it looks amazing.
I mean, it looks fucking great.
But just put
And
up the trailer, though.
but the funny part is that the leak is literally just some person, like they didn't even try to like frame.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just like they're literally just sitting there recording. You can see all the backs of
maybe
everybody's heads.
maybe
Nobody's
Stallone did
saying
that
anything.
himself, though. Like
It's
he was
kind
like,
of hilarious. Like
yeah.
talking about like how, you're like how intense the security is. And here's this motherfucker just like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and record this and upload it. I watched it on Facebook. And I was like, first off, I was like, fuck, this looks amazing. But
Yeah, it does amazing.
I'm a huge Rambo fan anyways.
Oh
I'm
God,
I'm
me
an
too.
easy sell,
Oh
so
God.
you don't really
Oh,
have to work
man.
that hard to
Yeah,
impress
all of
me.
them. I mean, I love all of those. I love all of them. Even people give 3 a bad time, but I don't think 3 is a blast. The stick fight at the beginning
I
was
love
great.
every single one of them.
I mean, I just remember I watched those movies so much when I was young, though. Like I know the beats of them so quickly. Just stuff that happens in the sound and then the score. Like I was even just watching a bit of 3 the other day, and like the stick fight at the beginning, where
Oh
he's
yeah.
like kind of posing, and then he clicks the stick sealers, and it goes, and then the score like starts up, and it's all like diegetic music. It's I love those movies, man. They're perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Slide.
And the last one was even more amazing. It was actually like blew me away. Like I
My
was
only issue, and I like him as a composer, Brian Tyler, but it's just I find it hard to have anybody top Jerry Goldsmith though, because those
well,
scores were
I mean
so
that's the
amazing. Those scores were
you
so
can't
amazing.
replace Goldsmith though.
Yeah, he does a good job, but those scores are so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, epic.
So speaking of
I even like the Frank Stallone song at the end of Rambo 2.
is that Frank Stallone? No, that
Yeah.
song's pretty
We
terrible.
gave our hearts. We gave it all.
That's a pretty. It's not a good song.
Peace in our lives.
I
Remember
want
all.
what
Oh, a
they
tear
want,
for my brother.
and every other guy put over there and spilled his guts.
For
Fitting
country
thing
to
for
love
today.
us as much as we love
Love
it.
it.
Where will you go, John? How will you live? Day by day. So fucking good, man. I cannot wait for the new one. Oh,
You're gonna have to. You
cannot
have to wait till
wait.
September.
Cannot wait. Cannot
So,
wait. It's gonna be so good. The trailer looks amazing.
well, one film you're gonna have to wait
Oh,
on.
hold on. One more thing though about
Oh
Stallone though.
shit!
Okay. One more thing about
Keep
Stallone.
killing
So
my transitions.
okay, no, but you remember how he was talking in that fucking Instagram video where he's like, "Yeah, I'm retiring Rocky," and now he's talking about doing a Rocky spinoff of Creed, like a spinoff of a spinoff back to the movie that spun it off for Creed, another Rocky movie. And he's
A
like,
Rocky where he's like training an illegal immigrant.
yeah, because he wants to tackle that now, and it's like, I mean, I'll go see it,
Really,
and
it
I know
doesn't.
I'll go see it. It'll probably be amazing. But still, he just Stallone. Dolph Lundgren is totally right when they gave an interview and they said, "Do you believe him that he's retiring Rocky?" And he started laughing. And he's like, "I've heard that about 17 times."
I don't think he. I think what happens is, he gets. It's like it's a journey. Like it's by the time you get to the end of it, you're just like, oh fuck, man, like I'm done. But then enough time and distance away from it, you start the juices start flowing again. You start thinking about those things, and you're like, but maybe.
Yeah, and like 3 months later, and he retired Rambo so many times too. But now he's talking about how if this one's good, he's gonna do more, and I hope so.
I mean, is he gonna? Is unless Rambo dies at the end, then
Rambo's not gonna die.
well, I mean, one day
Rambo cannot be killed. I don't know if he will die. He
he,
can't
he
be
may
killed.
not. He can't be killed, but he could still die.
I mean, I don't know though. I mean, it seems like he's not human. If you watch the last Rambo, it does seem like he's almost a god of horror and terror.
Well, anybody standing in a 50 cal in an Overwatch position is definitely a god.
I
So,
love that scene though at the end of the last Rambo where he kills like the main bad guy, and then they play like the same music cue that played in Rambo First Blood Part 2 when he attacks Murdoch, dun, 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 and he just disembowels him.
yeah.
So good. Oh,
Oh man, look at this bringing out the rage in you.
fucking roid rage, gonna
Roid rage.
so good.
Like weed
Fuck, man.
rage.
Cannot wait. 10 on 10. It's the
Already at
best, man. And Jimmy's got that quote on the cover. Amazing. So lucky. And made him so much.
You son of a bitch! I want my name on a
Yeah,
Rambo
that was great.
box.
Well, he got to review it. It was. I remember he got to review the last one because he saw it early, and it was years ago, and we both loved it. It was like a 10 on 10 for both of us. Like we both thought it was like who could jizz over this movie more. Like
God.
it was amazing.
All right, can I transition now? Are you done talking about Rambo?
Yeah, and my
Let's.
ejaculate.
Oh God, so gross. So anyways, speaking of aging heroes, we have uh Indiana Jones himself, Harrison Ford, who was on a talk show. I can't remember which one, and honestly, I don't give a fuck. But
Kimmel.
no, it was the Today Show to promote Secret Life of Pets 2. And he was asked, who could replace him as Indiana Jones, and it's kind of I saw the actual video, and it's kind of like some banter, so it's kind of funny. But he was like, Harrison Ford like puts his hand on the guy's shoulder. He's like, nobody. He's like, nobody else is gonna be Indiana Jones. Don't you get it? I'm Indiana Jones. When I'm gone, he's gone. It's easy. And then he just kind of looks at the camera. He's like, this is a hell of a way to tell Chris Pine this, which is pretty funny. But here's like the thing is, and then like we ran it as a story, and of course people you see that headline like Harrison Ford says that nobody else is going to play Indiana Jones, but
he's joking though.
I mean he's kind of he's playing around with it, but everybody like really jumped on it. It's what I'm saying, like people they see it and they kind of like grasp at it because they're like, oh my God, like yes. This is exactly how it should be and how it's gonna be. And blah, blah,
no
blah.
matter what he says and no matter what Steven Spielberg says, they're not going to live forever. And there will be another Indiana Jones. It's
own
gonna happen.
Indiana Jones.
Well, actually, I think they do own Indiana Jones because
they...
I think George Lucas does. I think Lucasfilm has the rights, and they didn't sell them to Disney. They have the distribution, I think, but they don't have the rights, the actual rights to the character, because that was a Lucasfilm movie.
Either way, Spielberg and Ford do not have the rights to Indiana
No,
Jones.
I think it actually lies with George Lucas. Really.
There's bigger powers at play that will decide Indiana Jones' fate. Now, could they keep that way? Sure, but guess what? One day that person, whoever the rights holder is going to die. Somebody's going to inherit it. They're going to sell off those rights because they're worth a lot of fucking money. And somebody can make Indiana Jones again. You're going to get somebody that grew up with it. You're going to get somebody that loves it, and it's going to go from dude, it could be 50 years from now.
Yeah,
we'll be dead.
It's the
That's
same
fine.
It's
but it still means it could happen again. And
yeah, there's going to be Indiana Jones. There's going to be Indiana Jones, just like there's always going to be Sherlock Holmes. No matter how many of the movies flop, there's always going to be Sherlock Holmes. There's always going to be James Bond. There's always going to be these famous, these indelible characters that people love. They're going to keep coming back, man, no matter what. The next James Bond movie could be an absolute fucking disaster. And I guarantee you, they'll still make another one because the IP rights alone, demand it, right? I mean, they're gonna do it. Even if it takes some time, they'll make another one. You'll see.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't think we've seen the last of Luke Skywalker, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line that gets remade. Who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's true, and like that's the thing is, and another aspect of
we
this
already got a Solo movie. I mean, there you go.
I would love to see a quote unquote solo Luke Skywalker movie, but
I don't think Alden Ehrenreich is going to play Indiana Jones, though. I will say that.
No, I think he's checked the box on his Harrison Ford roles,
yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, so it's nice that people jump on that kind of news or news bit as like it's some kind of fucking truth that's gonna last forever, but you're just fooling yourself because that's not what it is. Like people are just like they get this like sense of like pride and like they're like protecting a property and they're like that's it, nobody can touch it. It's like they're just hoarding it. Like you cannot remake this. It is sacred. Like no, it's not. My favorite movie is Die Hard. Guess what? One day somebody's gonna remake Die Hard. It's gonna happen. Ugh. It may not even be in my lifetime, but somebody's gonna do it.
I know, unfortunately.
And I don't care. Like I don't care. Like whatever. Like I think we hold on to this stuff. Like that doesn't change the fact that the 1988 Die Hard exists and that it's fucking perfect. Go ahead, make it. I don't give a fuck. Go make another one. Who gives a shit? Make another fucking Indiana Jones. Make another
I mean,
whatever.
there hasn't been a good Die Hard movie since Die Hard with a Vengeance, anyway.
Yeah. Well, God, that last one was so fucking atrocious. I was just
Oh,
like,
that
I
was
remember leaving the theater. I was like,
terrible.
I'm done.
Oh, I remember watching it with my buddy Paps, and we were kind of excited because the thing is, it was going to be R-rated, and that was the big complaint that I had with Live Free or Die Hard. But I kind of suspected it wouldn't be great because I'd heard it was 90 minutes, and I know the director John Moore is not a great director, and it didn't have any strong villains or anything like that. But we kind of hoped that it would at least be like,
And it
you know,
was like
an
bare rated
engaged Bruce.
R.
Oh, it was like a direct-to-video movie. Like it was fucking terrible.
It
And I
was like
mean, the
lame.
R rating did nothing for it, and it was.
Absolutely. Like when I think when I think of like, hey, you're gonna get an R rating, I think, oh fuck. I immediately go to like fucking Paul Verhoeven. I'm like, if I had an R rating and I was making an action movie, I would go full Verhoeven. It
Yeah,
would
me
be
too.
fucking it would be a bloodbath. It would be like Rambo or whatever. Like it would make full use of that fucking R. I would push
Well,
it to the fucking tilt.
you know what made pretty good use of the R rating recently was John Wick Chapter 3.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And what's weird is, Laura sometimes can be finicky about violence. Not really, but she just gets a little bit. She's not desensitized like I am. Like we watched The Perfection this weekend.
Mm.
When I reviewed it, and she was freaking her out, like full on freaking her out. She liked the movie, and she likes gore and stuff like that, but she gets freaked out by it. But she wasn't freaked out by the gore at all in John Wick. She was kind of into it. She was like, ah, yeah, I'm laughing when stuff was happening because that was just the way they were kind of doing it. But
It was
I
more
mean, that
hardcore violence than gore though. Like the most
there
gore in
was
John Wick is like
it was some
blood.
pretty gory scene, like the slow knife going into the eye and stuff. Like there was some pretty heavy duty scenes.
Nah, I don't think it was that bad.
I
I've
loved it
seen
though.
way worse. Oh, it's great.
I got really mad at somebody on Twitter though, where there was this critic that started this rant about how Keanu Reeves isn't a good actor. Go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. It's like that's so like reaching for straws. Like
What's her name? The director of Russian Doll and Leslie Headland. Just wrote back to the guy, disagree. Just like perfect. And it is. I disagree. He's fucking fantastic.
the thing is,
He has a
Keanu Reeves, he's yeah, exactly. He has a range as an actor. That doesn't mean he's a bad actor. It just means that he has a starting and a stopping point. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
no.
And that's fine. Not every actor there's not any other actors like Daniel Day-Lewis. So calm the fuck down. Like Keanu Reeves has mastered the type of actor that he is. And that is a great actor. So whether you think his performance comes off as cheesy or silly or whatever, either way, Keanu Reeves has forged a career as an actor, a very successful one. So to say that like he's not a great actor, I don't know, it's that's a stretch.
I
Even
think
Adam Sandler is a great actor in the
he
way
is.
that he has harnessed what he's good at. In that sense, he's a great actor.
Well,
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all his movies are great or that he's like some kind of fucking, Oscar-winning performance. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about who takes home a golden trophy. We're talking about people that have made a career out of acting, a
well,
successful career.
the thing about Sandler though is when Sandler does push himself though, he is capable of being an amazing actor though. Like
Oh, for
he
sure.
was really great in the Meyerowitz stories, and he was great as much as it wasn't that great of a movie, he was really good and funny in Funny
Funny people.
People
Yeah, he
and
was great in Funny People.
Rain Over Me. He was terrific in Rain Over
He's
Me.
actually really good in Spanglish, a movie that doesn't
Yeah,
get
he
much
was.
love.
I didn't like that movie at all, but I thought he was terrific in it.
Oh, see,
Uh,
I liked that movie. I thought it was
yeah.
good.
But the one that he's doing now is he's doing Uncut Gems with the Safety Brothers, the guys who did Good Time, and that's going to be great. I'm sure that his performance in that. I've seen some of the photos. He's like covered in blood and stuff. Like it's a kind of like a Scorsese style movie, and I
Yeah,
would.
I mean, I think he's an easy target, and I
Yeah.
think Keanu Reeves is an easy target too, because they've done some crappy movies, but
Really bad, especially Sandler. He's done some really bad
yeah,
movies,
sure.
but
But I mean, but they still have this huge career. I kind of compare it to like Rob Liefeld, as an artist. Like people pick on his art all the time, and you're like, oh, you draw everything's out of proportion. You draw tiny feet and this and that. But like, dude, Rob Liefeld has like one of the most successful careers in comics. I mean, that's the kind of career you would aspire to as an
yeah.
artist.
I mean, people
So
do like Sandler too. His movies are popular. That's why
yeah,
Netflix keeps re-upping with him. But I do feel like kind of the pendulum has swung around a little bit where, Sandler now it seems like he's kind of trying to make movies that are a bit better than they were before, and he's doing his stand-up again, which is great. He's still very good at stand-up. He was really funny on Saturday Night Live when he hosted it. You know, and I'm somebody who's, you know, you guys don't even let me review his movies anymore because I've been so mean to them in the past. But
Well, they're
I,
just kind of easy targets, and it's really they don't come off as
yeah,
good reviews. They come off as just kind of like hit pieces.
I
So
mean, he is. I just think that he's, you know, he's done some really terrible work, but I do feel that when he pushes himself, he's excellent. And he was really funny on Saturday Night Live. His Netflix special was really good, and the new movie with Jennifer Aniston might be okay. And you know, I think Uncut Gems is going to be full on amazing. So we'll
well,
see.
we will see.
We'll see.
Um, so switching gears, heading into outer space here, we have Ridley Scott once again talking about the Alien franchise and saying that basically, you know, you cannot recreate what Alien was. And I think he's right.
Well, it's been 40 years, right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was this weekend. Yeah.
So he says, you know, it's like trying to do a sequel to 2001. Fundamentally, you can't. Really, with
Well,
the
he
greatest
sure tried
respect.
though. Jesus, and yeah, you can do a sequel to Aliens. And
Well,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
and James Cameron killed. I like, and I'm one
Amazing.
of the. I'm an Aliens over Alien guy, so whatever.
So am I. So am I. I mean, I think that probably, you know,
Aliens is actually one of my all-time favorite
people will
movies.
mock
Ever.
us for that, but yeah, I agree. And
I
it's
don't
the
give
same
a
thing.
fuck.
Laura feels the same way too. Laura, the Aliens is one of her favorite movies too.
It's fucking great. It's like
It
takes. It's one of those. It's it's one of those movies that Alien is a great kind of like psychological fucking single location horror movie, but Aliens is like a fucking big boastful sci-fi action movie, and I love it.
I
So
mean,
they're
Alien,
totally different movies
they're both 10
in
on
that
10s
sense,
to
but
me. Like it's the same thing with Godfather
sure.
1 versus Godfather 2. They're both perfect, but you know, if I was gonna die, you know, tomorrow or something, or if I can only watch one of them ever again, it would be Aliens because just fuck man, it's Aliens.
Yeah.
I
So
still I still get a chill, you know, when she comes out in that suit at the end. Get away from her, you bitch. I mean,
yeah, it's an earned moment, like
holy shit though. Talk about a chill that you get and oh man, and even part where Hicks, you know, he pulls out a shotgun, he goes, I like to keep this for close encounters. Like this fucking badass, man.
Sandy for Close Encounters.
Oh, that's so cool. This is such a cool cast. Everybody's great in that movie too, and
Yeah, it's
everyone has their moment. Even the guy like the pussy fucking lieutenant, you know, who has his moment.
Gorman.
Yeah, Gorman. He has his moment with Vasquez, you know,
You really are an asshole.
yeah, that's perfect. And then the music kind of hits the crescendo.
Dun
Man,
dun dun dun
yeah,
dun 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 dun. That's what James Horner's best. I think that is James
yeah.
Horner's best score.
Oh my God, I'm just I just got a chill thinking of that now. It's
So
so
fucking
good.
amazing.
It's great.
So Ridley goes on to say, you get to the point when you say, okay, it's dead in the water. I think Alien vs. Predator was a daft idea, and I'm not sure it did very well or not. I don't know, but it somehow brought down the beast.
It
And I
should.
said to them, listen, you can resurrect this, but we have to go back to scratch and go to a prequel if you like. So we go to Prometheus, which was not bad actually, but there's no alien in it except the baby at the end that showed itself the possibility. I mean, it had the silhouette of an alien, right? The alien is uniquely attached to Mother Nature. It simply comes off a wood beetle that would lay eggs inside some unsuspecting insect. In so doing, the form of the egg will become the host for this new creature. That's hideous, but that was what it was. And you can't keep repeating that because the joke gets boring. Go on, leave that behind and see where it can evolve. So we're looking where we're going to evolve. So I don't know. I think that I feel like they still don't know what the fuck to do with the Alien franchise, to be honest.
I mean,
I
I
don't
feel
think they know. And here's the other thing. I actually really liked Alien Covenant. I loved Prometheus. I loved that what they had set up and where it was going. And I think that would be really cool to explore that. I love fucking goddamn Fassbender as like basically this AI villain. I fucking
yeah.
love it. But it didn't make enough money to make a fucking dent, and I don't think we're gonna see that story continue, which is a shame.
Yeah. It's weird.
Um,
I like Prometheus more than I like Alien Covenant, which
yeah, I
is
do too. I do
yeah.
too.
But I think Alien Covenant. I didn't really like it that much, but it had its moments, and it definitely had some promise. Like I really liked the ending. That was the thing. I didn't like the movie that much, but I loved the last
Yeah, oh
reveal,
yeah, the ending was great.
and I kind of wanted to see that movie. You know,
Yeah,
Alien,
that's what I mean. Like
Aliens
whatever.
on Earth, because we still haven't seen that yet, right?
Yeah.
You know, so let's. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Like I wish the Neil Blomkamp movie had happened. Um,
Fuck yeah, dude. Like,
but
and that's very much kind of like Terminator Dark Fate in that sense, where
yeah,
they're um they're basically ignoring the other sequels and saying, no, this is the actual sequel. We've gotten to that point now where other people are like, no, fuck those movies. This is the real sequel. I think that's hilarious, actually. But it's interesting because that's like, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of that happening before. Maybe it has. I don't know, but I can't think of it. But it's pretty funny.
Um, it's
And speaking of Terminator Dark Fate, the new trailer came out.
yeah.
She gave everybody their first peek. I saw a shit ton more footage at CinemaCon, but it's certainly it was a good wrap up of kind of what we saw. I just saw like extended portions of those sequences, but I'm curious, what did you think?
I was underwhelmed by it. I mean, but the reason why I would say that I am is that I'm just very wary of anything Terminator now at this point. Like it's gotten they say once bitten, twice shy. Well, it's thrice bitten.
Yeah,
It's
this
just it's
fucking snake keeps biting me.
yeah, I know, but I mean, I like that Sarah Connor's back, and I think Linda Hamilton looks badass. I like Mackenzie Davis. I've always liked her. I like her. I like the world of it, and
She's
uh,
so
uh,
tall.
yeah,
I interviewed her. She's so tall.
yeah, I interviewed her once too, and I like her build is kind of cool for a Terminator, and she's got like it's funny because there was an episode of the show that she was on, *Halt and Catch Fire*, and the whole episode was about her watching like the Terminator. It was which is kind of cool. I loved that show. Um, I liked things about it. I was kind of underwhelmed by the fact that there wasn't much Arnold in it. I don't know what his role is going to be like in the movie. That said, I mean, a ton of Arnold didn't really save the last one either. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, what was your sense when you saw the footage though? Did it feel like Arnold was going to be more than just a cameo?
They didn't show a full scene with Arnold
Yeah.
in that, but they did show more They showed like scenes of him shooting a gun, and he's like fighting alongside Sarah Connor, which was pretty cool. But they didn't show that in the trailer.
But also, I think his health was quite fragile at the time they were shooting it too, though, because he had to go through like open heart surgery and stuff. So it's kind of understandable, you know?
Did he? He had open
Yes.
heart surgery?
Oh
Oh,
yeah. While they were shooting, he had to take a couple weeks off, and he came back.
oh, I didn't know that.
I
I
wouldn't be
hadn't heard that.
surprised if he had a relatively small role in the film. I think his health was kind of fragile.
It's possible. It's quite possible. Anyways, I think it looks cool. I like that Miller's involved, like that, he's making it. I think that that's gonna, go a long way. And I hope that, I don't know, I have hopes for it. I guess I'll say that.
I think it's going to be a lot better than the last one. I didn't like anything about the last one or any of the look of the
Yeah,
last one, but
Genesis is completely fucking irredeemable for me.
Miller is a great is I don't know if he's a great director, but he's a solid director, and he could potentially do a great movie. I like that Junkie XL is going to do the music because it'll have a great score.
Yeah.
Uh, and the cast is really good. The actors that I know anyway. I mean, I know Mackenzie Davis and Linda Hamilton. Those are all Gabriel Luna. I know those actors, and they're all great. And Schwarzenegger too. I think it's always the perfect role for him. It's just like he's iconic in it for a reason. I just I feel like they keep trying to make that happen again though, the Terminator, because it's such a good IP. And that's why I say that there'll always be an Indiana Jones and there'll always be a James Bond. It's like, look at Terminator. The movies just keep flopping and flopping and flopping, but they keep bringing it back, right? And
No, they're always looking at that like, but what if we can get those T2 numbers again,
yeah,
man?
exactly.
What
Yeah,
if we can do? What if it happens?
and I mean, and you talk about perfect movies too. I mean, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are both perfect films.
Well, the other thing too is, every movie is a gamble. A lot of people, there's no sure thing.
No, no, absolutely not. And
So
it could
anytime you make a movie, especially like these big budget ones, it's a risk. Every one of them is a risk. There's literally no way to predict what numbers any movie is going to do. Nobody's ever, you can't predict it. You can't. There's no
it
system that says this is what it's going to make.
it could be great. And and also box office doesn't necessarily, mean a movie's good or bad. I mean, a movie I really loved this weekend didn't do very well. Booksmart, I went to see it. I thought it was great. Didn't do much business. It doesn't mean it's not a great movie.
That's a terrible time to open it. They shouldn't have
Yeah.
opened
Oh, it
it.
sure is. It should have been Oscar. It should have been
Why
award.
did I don't understand why they opened it this week? Why? I mean,
It seems
it's
like
so crowded.
Annapurna's marketing department is just not. and they opened it against Aladdin too, and you're going after a very similar audience. It's just, ugh, I don't know.
It's just not a wise, like, why would you open anything small on a week where like a Disney live action fucking movie? Like, that's just not a wise move. So I don't
And
know why
why
they did that.
platform it in 2,000 screens? I mean, open it and limited. Do a small release
Yeah,
and
do a rollout, let
I mean,
the hype build.
A24 could have marketed that movie well.
Yeah. Oh well. I guess we'll see. Everybody seems to be really hyped about it. I interviewed the stars and they were really cool
Oh,
but
you haven't seen it yet, eh?
no, no. Didn't.
I think you'd like it. I was very very into it.
Yeah, I look forward to
She's
seeing it.
she's a she's a really impressive director, I have to say. Performances are great too. Everybody's very three-dimensional, and even characters that kind of seem, like they were going to be two-dimensional. Like there was this one guy I thought was going to be like kind of the two-dimensional creep. I was like, oh great, so all the guys are assholes. Definitely not, not at all. In fact, all the guys were super nice in the movie too. That was the thing that was kind of cool. Everybody, there was not a creep in the film. It was the first film that I've ever seen about high school where literally every character was likable and nuanced, and you wanted to
Hmm,
spend time with, and nobody was being judged. And I thought that was great.
interesting. Um, so another interesting tidbit, Dan Aykroyd spoke up yet again about this little franchise called Ghostbusters, speaking of IP that won't die.
Ugh, I just wanted to
And
stop. I just wanted to stop. I'm honestly thinking muting the word Ghostbusters on my Twitter. Same thing with Captain Marvel. It's just these things. I like Captain. Oh God, it's just I just want to. And the Snyder cut. I just want to stop talking about these things,
there's definitely things on Twitter
please.
that you're gonna run into
Oh, just
that you just despise.
every day, just stop, stop.
Yeah, I see it too.
Oh my God, you
I
must.
see it too. I see all of it. I see plenty of stuff. I see all the political stuff too, which is just obnoxious because I don't do politics on my Twitter feed, and I have political views, but I don't share them on Twitter. That's the wrong fucking place to share any of that stuff.
In 120 characters is not enough room to make a nuanced
Well,
message.
but then I see people I know, people that are friends, they tweet about it all day long. It's so obnoxious. I'm just like, oh God,
Well, I think you stress yourself out.
why?
The more time you spend on Twitter, I think Twitter is actually quite destructive at times.
It really can't. Like if you spend too much time there, and
You should.
I see people they're just like they fall into a rabbit hole of like retweets, and a lot of just like kind of grandstanding. I'm just like, dude, you're doing it all wrong. Like,
I find you spend a lot of time on Twitter. I'm kind of worried about you, Paul, because it's a nerve because it's a destructive thing, and it's not necessarily, it's a lot of crap out there, and I feel it's also
the time I spend on Twitter though is exactly why I'm on Twitter, which is to talk about movies and stuff like that. I don't
hey.
do it. I don't do it talk about anything but movies. Really, that's pretty much it.
Speaking of which, yeah, but you get exposed to a lot of stuff. I'm worried about you,
Sure.
man. By the way, I saw that you watched Commando again this weekend.
I had a drunk rewatch, a
I
drink
I do
watch,
that. I watch that. I do that every now and then.
and I just figured, I'm at home. I was by myself. I was having some drinks, and I was like, I'll just share this experience with my tweeps, just because it was fun, and everybody loves to talk about some Commando. So I was like, eh, let's see how I feel about this, and it was a total riot just watching
Speak,
it and hearing
Speaking
that
of
shit.
great James Horner scores too,
Oh God, it's such a hilarious score, man.
with
It
the
really is.
saxophone.
And then like I don't know what that instrument is. It's like some kind of like drum where it's like ding 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 ding. I don't
Oh,
know
it's
what
like,
it's
it's a
called.
steel drum.
Yeah, it's like a steel drum. I don't know
Yeah,
what the official
yeah,
name
yeah,
of
that's
this
what it's
is,
called.
but
Steel drum. Yeah, it's a steel drum.
it's it's so funny, man.
But it's great.
It is great, but it's like hilarious. Like I remember when I was a kid, I was actually annoyed by it, but
Hey,
grew up.
Sully. Remember when I said I'd kill you last? Yeah, man. I lied.
Right, Matrix, you did. I lied. Wah!
Best scene in that movie though is the part where he's in the shed.
And did you see that Schwarzenegger shared a story from that, which has
Yeah.
actually inspired me to watch it, where I guess he had wanted to cut off a guy's arm and beat him to death with it.
Well,
So the
what
producer
happened
called him in
is
and was like,
there's actually an unrated cut of it out there, and you can watch it on YouTube. Like there's an unrated version that's on DVD, and you can watch it on YouTube. It doesn't have everything that was shot, But they do have more of it. Like when the guy cuts his arm off, you see the guy feeling the stump and freaking out, right?
Yeah,
But
I saw that
but
part.
but in the Schwarzenegger version, apparently after he cut the guy's arm out and the guy started screaming, he slapped him across the face with the and said, "Chill out or relax."
Well, I guess he wanted to beat the guy to death with it, and like I guess Lawrence Gordon was like, he's like, no, we're trying to sell this. We want people to see this movie. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, get the fuck out of my office. Oh fuck. Anyways,
I don't need this gun.
it was a fun
I
revision.
don't need the girl.
Like the dumbest fucking thing. There's just so much
Idiot.
impossible, stupid
Come on.
shit.
You don't need
Yeah,
the
let me knife fight you.
You don't need the chicken shit gun. Put a knife in me.
Yeah, all right, John, that's what I want to do. I want to stab you. I could just shoot you in the fucking head and end this whole thing, but no, I'm gonna get out a knife. I'm obviously not a match for you.
No.
I could just blow your fucking brains out right
He
now.
looks like Freddie Mercury after hitting the buffet.
He's got his little net,
Yeah.
little net thing, and then like it was the first time I noticed that he's wearing like a dog chain, like an actual dog chain with his dog tags on
With
it.
his handlebar mustache. Like, oh, he wants John, right? And then John fucking pierces him with the pipe.
That shit's it was a fun rewatch.
I love that movie though.
So speaking of Schwarzenegger, I guess we can segue over here to this. McG is developing a True Lies TV series for Disney Plus.
I mean, I feel that they could totally spin that off. The only thing is, are we ever going to see True Lies again? The movie, like, I feel like they've pulled it out of circulation.
I don't know why.
Well, I mean, you know why? It's politically, it's not very PC ever since September 11th. You know, to have the way that it was done. I think they kind of pulled it out of commission for that reason. But I mean, I think you should put it back in. You know, we should see that movie should exist still. I have a pretty good rip of it that I downloaded, like a nice, because it came out on DVHS, which was like the for a while was another like HD DVD that they were trying to launch. So there is a really nice kind of 1080p version of it out there. And I heard that they did a 4K master of it. So one does exist, but it's
well,
just,
I'll buy it when it comes out. I don't personally. I don't
sitting.
see any reason why it shouldn't be out. It should
I know,
absolutely be out.
absolutely. They should be able to at least, but well,
Dumb.
you can buy it on iTunes, but it's only in standard def. And I feel like they should have a nice version of that movie out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a standard version of
No,
it.
and especially if you're going to reboot the
It's
franchise.
a great movie. I don't like people. I guess people are like, oh, it's like it portrays terrorists. It's like, fuck. I don't give a fuck. Fuck terrorists.
Well, I mean, the unpopular opinion on JoBlo on it kind of said a lot about it too. And I mean, I think Alex was right with some of the things that he said, but you know, it is a product of its time as well.
I don't agree. I don't agree with Alex's summation on that. I think that does it show some kind of stereotype? It shows all kinds of stereotypes, not just of fucking terrorists, but at the same time, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
terrorists are terrorists. Fuck terrorists. I don't give a fuck. And the terrorists that attacked and destroyed New York City on 9/11, I'm sorry to tell you, but that is what they were, of that descent. So there you go. There's a reason that there's a stereotype. It's a real thing. Like, sorry. So you're offended by the truth. Anyways, True Lies is just a very entertaining, cool movie. It doesn't have to go anything beyond that. It's like,
oh yeah,
these days everybody has to watch a movie. They're like, oh, I'm gonna be watching for something to tweet about and hashtag to fucking take this movie down.
A good example of that was, so last night Laura wanted to watch Heathers because it came up on Amazon Prime, and I showed her an article that was written in the Wrap attacking Heathers. You know, saying it was triggering, stuff like that. And it's like,
I saw that. Like, it wasn't that like some kid like watched it.
Yeah. It's just like, whatever. Fuck, people are too
fuck
sensitive.
off, you fucking pansy.
People are very sensitive. Anyway, True Lies is fun. I remember seeing it in theaters with my dad. Great movie.
I saw it twice the day it came out. Loved it. I saw it like the first like an afternoon show, and I saw it by myself both times too. I was in heaven. I fucking love it. I was like, oh my god, this thing is fucking beautiful.
I just love the scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger speaking French, because I speak French and I just love his French. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? That's so good.
I do not speak French.
So good.
But I remember when I went to Montreal, I was like,
qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
Everywhere I go, like
okay.
the first language everybody speaks is French.
Yes.
And I don't speak French, so then I'm like,
Well,
And I
I'm
just
sorry we
immediately
inconvenienced you, Paul.
and I immediately speak in English, and then they're like they quickly change over to
Yeah.
English like right
Everybody,
away.
everybody pretty much speaks both here.
Yeah. So well, it's because y'all are like got your weird conservative thing going.
It's not conservative. It's a separatist thing. It's
Separate.
they're
Sorry,
not.
that's what I meant to say.
It's a weird thing. It's like kind of, I would say, um,
It's kind of
fiscally
counterintuitive to the rest of Canada.
fiscally left, but in terms of like human rights and stuff, extremely right, like almost alt right. Like anti diversity and anti this and like racist, like legitimately racist. But anyway,
Yeah, and like super
yeah.
strict about like French being the first language, and like when they
Well,
were like
not as much now,
they're
though. Not
making businesses change their uh,
yeah. That's
English
oh sure.
names to French names.
That's not as much of a thing now as it was before, but it's things are changing though, because you've got the new generation that's growing up that doesn't give a fuck about it. It was a whole reaction to the quiet revolution. I could give you a whole history lesson on Quebec and why things were the way they were, and involves the church, and it's all a very sordid story. But anyway, things are gradually shifting back into the other direction. I was lucky though, being an anglophone, because I got a great education when I was growing up. It was immersion, so half my day would be in French and half my day would be in English, and that was great. But unfortunately, if you're a French person here, you're actually underprivileged in that firm, because you're in that way, because you're forced to just learn to be schooled unilingually. You do get English lessons, but you don't get enough English to really be fluent, and then they have to pick it up over time. And that's why I teach English as a second language, because there's a need for it, because people get out into the workforce and they're like, oh, if I want to work, I need to know English. And that's why I'm going to teach English today at the
English,
at the Quebec courthouse.
sweet.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Um. So yeah,
I'm petting my cat Hercules now, and he's just cuddling in my arms.
Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. That's what I
H-
think about when I hear that. So Game of Thrones ended last week, and now George R. R. Martin has spoken up a little bit about it. He didn't give a full like review or anything, but the questions were asked. Basically, what he thought, I guess, and then how it would compare ultimately to his books. And Martin ultimately he praised Benioff and Weiss as well as the cast and crew. And he did say that the finale is an ending, but not the ending.
Mhm.
So they asked, I guess the question was asked, does this mean that the conclusion of the novels will be different to what unfolded on the series? And he gave a kind of, well, a George R. R. Martin answer, which sounds pretty in line with what you would expect. And he says, well, yes, and no, and yes, and no, and yes, and no, and
When will you
yes.
finish the books? Eventually.
He says, I am working in a very different medium than David and Dan. Never forget. He's like, they had 6 hours for this final season. I expect these last two books of mine will fill 3,000 manuscript pages between them before I'm done. And if more pages and chapters and scenes are needed, I'll add them.
If
And
he's
of
ever done.
course, the butterfly effect will be at work as well. Those of you who follow this, not a blog, which is this is where this came from, was his blog, will know that I've been talking about that since season one. There are characters who never made it onto the screen at all, and others who died in the show but still live in the books. So, if nothing else, the readers will learn what happened to Jane Poole, Lady Stoneheart, Penny and her pig, Scott Shavepate, Arian Martell, Darkstar, Victorian Greyjoy, Sir Garland the Gallant, Aegon the Sixth, and a myriad of other characters, both great and small, that viewers of the show never had the chance to meet. And yes, there will be unicorns of a sort. So, there's a lot of different stuff going on there. And then somebody, I guess, asked, so which will be the real ending, book or show? And he says, it's a
Oh,
silly question. How
that is
about
a silly
this? I'll
question.
write it, you read it, then everyone can make up their own mind and argue about it on the internet.
Yeah,
I
that's a great answer, actually.
think that's perfect because that's true. That's what's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna like just like they are now. Like I see so many like whenever I upload stuff on YouTube for just for our content, I see like the recommended stuff that pops up and just like the related content, and I see like all kinds of like why Game of Thrones sucks or how they ruined Game of Thrones and blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, oh god, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know. I'm
You
tired
know,
of it.
like people just said they have so much time to like fucking to rant about things that they hate. You know, that's like that's why we don't do like for the original videos. Like I'm not gonna green light some shit that's like like the everything wrong with series or some shit like that and just piss on fucking stuff. It's like we do
Yeah, it's
awfully good movies,
go out and create.
which is kind of a respectful and
It is.
fun,
It is.
kind of
It is.
series. But everything else is very much like it's a celebration of like these films and even
Yeah,
like bad ones,
Jesse and Jason do that column and that video with love.
totally with love, and they put a lot of work into it too. Trust me.
I know.
Um,
I always thought it was a good column.
yeah. But yeah, it's purely
Particularly,
out of a passion for movies. It's not a oh hey let's rip this a new asshole just to fucking hurt people's feelings. It's like no, like let's look at this. Like this is hilarious. This is great. This is terrible. This is great. This is wonderful. And ultimately it's worth talking about. But there's so many people that just make these I saw this guy and it killed me. This dude made this like 20-minute video of how he would have ended Game of
yeah,
Thrones.
I
It
don't give
had
a
like
fuck how this
a
guy
million
Game of Thrones.
views.
So yeah,
Like
I
a
don't give a
million views of this just some fucking jackass is like, well, I know better, and here's what I
yeah.
would have done.
Like I could give a fuck how this asshole ends Game of Thrones.
Like, I don't fucking care. Fuck you. Yeah, like this is how I would have ended The Last Jedi. But guess what? That ain't what happened, and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares what I think. I hated the movie, but guess what? Too bad. I have to live with it, and that's fine. Like I didn't make it.
Wait a
And that's
second.
it.
You didn't like Last Jedi?
No, I didn't like Captain Marvel either. I think both those movies are pieces of shit. But guess what? It ain't up to it's whatever. If other people love it, fine, cool. I don't care. But I don't like it.
Speaking of love, you and I are both watching a show.
I don't know if you would call it love. I call it anxiety.
Yeah.
So on Saturday night, I went to bed and I'm actually reading Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin. And I was just gonna sit there, I was gonna read, a little bit and fall asleep. And a lot of times I'll put on a movie in the background just to kind of play. And I couldn't find a movie, and I went to HBO Now and I saw Chernobyl sitting there, and everybody had been talking about how good it was, and I was like, seems like I'm probably not gonna really be super invested in it, so I'll just like play it in the background while I read some Fire and Blood. And I let it play, and like within like the first 10 minutes, I was like, set the book down, and I was like immersed. And I ended up staying up all night watching 3 episodes, and I thought it was only three because we talked about this before on HBO Now. I said, watch all episodes now. And I was like, oh, it's only 3 episodes. Like maybe, I'll go all the way through. I think if had I known that there was actually five, I probably would not have stayed up all night and binged it. But that is what happened. So I started watching it, and by the end of episode 2, I was straight fucking shook.
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing like the radiation effects on these guys is a fucking horror show.
Oh yeah.
And then when you think about like just really, it's like a scientific nightmare.
I mean,
Like
what a
what
horrible way to die.
like
And
what we've created or what we've harnessed out of nuclear energy, which and I don't not support nuclear energy. We can make it happen, and for the most part most countries do it safely. But shit happens, when you're playing with like you're kind of playing with fire here, quite literally in
oh
some
yeah,
sense.
I mean,
And
it's one of those things that can't be undone, and undiscovered at this point.
yeah, and I think, and to me like that's why I say like this Chernobyl is like a horror movie,
it
and
is.
it plays that way too. You know what
It's
I'm saying? Like it
God forbid
really,
this ever happened, and also, the thing is the evil of the system at the time that was, that was
yeah,
covering everything
not the
up.
best argument for communism
Oh
here.
no, and also we're unbelievably lax, and even accepting what had happened, and how many lives could have been saved, at that point. And it's a miracle things weren't as bad as the things. It's actually a miracle that things went as well as they did, to be honest. Like that's the scary thing about it. Like this is what we're watching is kind of the best case scenario of that
Yeah.
happening, and it was, and I mean, the tone is set right away in the first scene where Jared Harris commits suicide, and
Which that guy actually did commit
yeah,
suicide
oh, sure,
when he was
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, I mean, it's a great performance too by him. I really like him a
Oh,
lot.
he's so good. Jared Harris is he totally like I hate
You
like
should
being that give them awards, but I mean this guy's doing that caliber level of work here.
you should watch The Tear, because the thing that's cool about The Tear is that the guy who plays the fireman who gets really fucked up by the radiation is like one of his is the co-star of The Tear. So he
Mm.
must have brought him over, and he's great on The Tear as well, which is a great show. But
I mean, I can just say like somebody had said on Twitter when I tweeted out that I watched it, they're like it's haunting. I was like that is the perfect fucking summation of Chernobyl. It is a haunting show.
but yet it's so, I mean, it's a good show too, though. I mean, it's beautifully
Oh,
done.
it's engrossing. It's like it just sucks you in, and there's like the imagery is like shocking and haunting, and there's it's totally it's like a science fiction nightmare, but it's not science fiction.
No, it's not. It's
And
reality,
that's what's
unfortunately.
scary about it. Because like you think about like the firefighters that responded, to like they're like, hey, they're just there to put a fire out.
Oh God,
They had
yeah.
no idea what they're being exposed to,
And the
which it
and
kind of
the
shows. It says a lot about Russia at that time too, where they're just like kind of arrogant and kind of and I think it has a lot to do with like the statism that they're the way they respond to things, where they're just like no 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 everything's fine, everything's good,
yeah, that didn't
we have
happen.
no problems, everything is
That's
good,
impossible. It couldn't have happened.
we're perfect. Like how is there graphite on the roof? I don't That's not possible. Like this like this no, we're perfect and everything is right and there's no problems. It's like they act out of fear of being punished for something being done wrong. You know what I'm
But
saying?
and it took the
Everything
one
is about self-preservation.
and it took the one man's bravery. He was like, I don't give a fuck if you shoot me,
Yeah,
because
shoot me, throw me out of the fucking
We're gonna
helicopter.
die. We're gonna die anyway. So what's the
Yeah,
point?
like
Better death.
the scene
Yeah,
where he's like, fly over it, and he's like, and Jared Harris is like, if you fly over that, we'll be dead tomorrow.
yeah. And
And
we're better.
helicopter pilot's like,
He
yeah,
says,
no, I'm not gonna do that. We're
we're
good.
better off with a bullet, with a quick bullet in the head. I take
Yeah.
that at any
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. It's a great line. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
really so well written.
And
Mm.
it's funny though. I'm kind of, it's refreshing the fact that it's doing so well in the ratings too. It's a big hit, and a lot of people are talking about it, and it's also very big in London because it only actually just premiered in London last weekend. And when I went to the junket on on Tuesday, everybody was talking about it. They were like, "Oh my God, did you see this last night?" Oh, all the local journalists like, "Oh, wow." And then all the US journalists had already seen it, and they were like, "Yeah, isn't it fucking crazy?" And then it was like everybody was talking about that in the green room while we were waiting, like the whole day.
Yeah,
They're just talking about
it's honestly like fucked me up.
yeah.
This is why I don't watch horror movies, and I had no idea Chernobyl was gonna be this intense. And like the music is haunting as fuck too. I can't remember. It's a female composer, and I can't remember her name, but
Oh,
man,
it's I forgot her name, but it's the person.
hats off to her, man, because
It's
it
the
is like
person who's
chilling.
she's doing the music for Joker.
Oh, really? Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Dude,
Yeah.
it is chilling. That
Yeah.
music when it kicks in, it's just like it rattles your nerves because it is just so like
Yeah, yeah.
intense and like
She's doing the
moody.
she's doing the music for Joker. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so Chernobyl is just so beautifully acted, and it's a scary as fuck thing, and it's left images like I'll tell you what, the seeing the bodies, what the radiation, this intense radiation has done to these guys.
Hilder going no daughter. I don't
I'm sure you said
anyway,
that
whatever.
perfect.
Whatever.
Um, but seeing that, it's like it reminded me of Seven, like the sloth guy,
Yeah.
and it left that kind of imagery in my brain where I was just like, this is not going away.
Well, I'll tell you one thing also. So people are talking about how you can apparently go on tours of Chernobyl now, right? If
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
stay in
you
for a
can.
certain amount of time. No fucking way I would ever do that. And I'm going to listen to the Russian government tell me that it's safe. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
fuck
you
you.
guys say
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Send over the North Americans that come over that want to go. That yeah, oh, you're Canadian. Hey, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, it's safe. It's safe. Yeah, yeah.
They
Fine.
like take you on the tour and they're wearing like a full fucking
Yeah,
suit.
yeah. No,
Hats.
it's
They're like,
no way.
do we need those? They're like, no, no, no. This is just, we do this just for the show,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Fuck
part of
off.
the performance.
Yeah,
We're like, yeah,
never,
okay.
never would never go. Fuck
It's like their chance to
yeah,
kill off a bunch
seriously.
of fucking
Not gonna
idiot
ever.
tourists.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Then like, well, no, like in 20
Well,
years, like
somebody made a horror movie of
in
that too.
20 years, in 20 years I get like thyroid cancer and something like that. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, good. I'm good. So, anyways, yeah, I I didn't know Chernobyl was 5 parts, but and I did feel like it kind of ended abruptly. I remember thinking, I was like, oh, That's how it ends, huh?
No,
Okay.
you're just like my mom though. It wasn't she was watching the act. She was like, "Oh, I didn't really like the ending." And I was like, "Mom, there's 3 episodes
Mom,
left."
it's not over yet. God
And then
damn
she
it.
was like, "I'm like, you have to look up these things." And then it's like, "Oh, okay." She just assumed it was over.
Chris, you act like I work in the industry or something.
Yeah, yeah,
I act like I
exactly.
report about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Well,
Uh.
it's not my
So,
usual beat, but I highly recommend it to anybody. But I do caution you, no bullshit, caution you that it will fuck you up
oh, it's not an easy watch, and
if you're easily unsettled, or even not. I'm not even easily unsettled, but there are certain things, and I think real life events and seeing the reality of the kind of horror we can unleash on this world that isn't made up is scarier than anything you could
oh,
make up.
100%. And if you have kids, I'm telling you, it's not a show for them at all.
Yeah, yeah. Like my son, I was talking to my kid about it. He's 10, because he had asked me like what I had done this past week, and I told him I watched it, and he asked like, well, what is that? He said it was real. And I remember when I was watching it, at first I was like, oh, it'd be interesting for him to see this, to kind of see what can happen. And then once I got to episode 2, I was like, I don't want my kid to see this. This is pretty intense. This is intense for me.
It's a lot like The Day After, right? The Day After was a movie that really fucked me up when I was young, and it is like you see the devastation that could potentially cause. It is absolutely terrifying, and how horrible a death it is to die from radiation. Ugh.
Fuck, dude. Fuck. I would just like, please kill
I
me.
even remember, God, even Edge of Darkness, the Mel Gibson movie, they have that his daughter. That's how she dies, and it's a terrible death. Right? No,
Yeah.
she gets killed. Luckily, when she's in the early stages of it, and then that's why at the end of the movie he makes Danny Houston drink the radioactive milk,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and then that's how he dies at the end of the film. That's an underrated movie too. That's a movie for best movie you never saw at some point.
I need to watch it again. I only saw it once.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of underrated.
So there's another HBO movie that's coming out this week, and
Deadwood the movie.
you have started to watch it. You haven't
Yeah.
finished it though.
No, I was right in the middle of it when you called me up for the podcast, but it's great. I mean, it's like jumping right back into the show. And I'll say this: if you have to have watched Deadwood to ever watch the movie though, because it picks up exactly where season 3 left off. It's 10 years later, but events that happened in the last episode of season 3 are directly called back here,
Mm.
right? So it picks up exactly with the villain too from the third season, and it's the conclusion to that. And I mean, it's a natural end so far, anyway, to the show. And unfortunately, David Milch has Alzheimer's, so that might be his last work, unfortunately. Um, you know,
But it's
uh,
pretty great. Yeah, I'd heard about that. It's pretty great that HBO like
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah,
let him finish.
yeah.
That's a big
Finish his,
deal.
his opus. I mean, it's his masterpiece. And it's always been a tragedy that the show never got a proper send off, and now it does, and the show can stand up on its own now. That
Yeah,
was always the asterisk with that show. It's like, well, it doesn't have a proper ending. Now it really does. And that's a real gift to anybody who's a fan of that. It's and the actors haven't lost a beat. I mean, Ian McShane right back into it. Right back in his role, and everybody's great, and I love it.
Timothy Olyphant's just got more gray.
Yeah, Timothy Olyphant's thin now. He looks thin. I think he's just very fit, but the mustache isn't doing him any favors now because he had like a certain robustness to him when he was younger. I think he's still in great shape, but it's just that he's probably really jacked and lean. But when he puts the mustache on, he looks almost delicate. Like it's weird.
Mm,
He's not,
interesting.
but it's just because it's made him look older, I find, than a lot of the other cast members. But I think it's because he works out so much, and if he wasn't wearing his mustache, he'd probably look better.
Maybe.
Yeah, because he was kind of baby faced a little bit. Like they do little scenes where they cut back, but then it's weird to see how some people have aged and some people haven't. And I find the women for the most part look great. The men look a bit older, but I think for the most part, a lot of them were in their in their 50s when it was shooting, so they're in their late 60s now. And McShane is almost 80, but he looks great. John Hawkes looks great actually. He's held up really well, but he still does movies and stuff. He looks almost exactly the same.
Hmm.
It's great though. It's really cool to see all the characters back and everybody's back. Everybody that's still alive is back. So love it.
Well, Timothy Olyphant is Raylan Givens, so he'll
Yeah,
always
Seth
have
Bullock, man. Seth Bullock, greatest Seth Bullock too.
love. Love Timothy
Did you
Olyphant.
ever watch? Did you ever watch Deadwood?
I watched the first. I watched up to the season where I think we talked about this before, where
Yeah, yeah.
Swearingen gets sick and he's like cough, just like dying every episode, and I got bored with it. So I need to revisit though.
Yeah, it's great.
It's been a long time. So anyways, you can check that out this week on HBO. I'll probably check it out. Although I think I'd rather just do a full rewatch and then lead
You
right
need
into
to
that.
you don't watch it if you haven't watched the last season.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point.
So that's probably what I'll do is I'll just do a full rewatch. It's not that long of an investment. So, last thing we'll talk about before we take a few listener questions to round out this lovely podcast. Today is Memorial Day, so I thought maybe we'd talk about, our favorite war films or war film. I'm curious what yours are,
Well,
Chris.
I mean, I don't want to say the typical one because you and I we've talked about this before on the podcast at our favorite war movies, and I don't want to necessarily do the the one the one we always talk about is Saving Private Ryan, and it is probably
Which I watched yesterday.
it is maybe the best war film to a degree, but I'm not going to talk about that one now because we've talked about it so much in the past. It is I mean a masterpiece, I think,
Without question. Without question.
and it is probably the best war film. But war movies that I really like, I love The Great Escape. I think that's a great movie. It's a deceptively lighthearted film, but then with a real gut punch ending that you don't really see coming, and that's actually what really happened. I love Bridge on the River Kwai too. I think is a fantastic film.
I need to
Uh,
revisit that. It's been
that's
so
that's a
long time.
great movie. Those are both POW movies. I love The Guns in Navarone. I love this movie Where Eagles Dare with Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood. But the thing is, it's telling of the fact that I never served. That a lot of the war movies I like are these kind of war adventure movies.
Yeah.
I think if I served, I would feel probably a lot differently because I've never been in combat and I've never actually been in that situation before. But Saving Private Ryan, I do think is a perfect film though, and I'm curious. I'm more curious to know what yours are. What are your favorite war movies?
Well, it's changed throughout the years, and they all have taken on different forms after serving. So, like prior to serving, I remember I saw Black Hawk Down, and that was that was like my recruiting tool
Mhm.
was Black Hawk Down, and we even called it Black Hawk Down syndrome
Mhm.
for all the people that joined because they saw Black Hawk Down.
Yeah,
And I still love it to this day. I think it's a great movie, and it's a very accurate portrayal of kind of the realities of combat. Um, but I still love Saving Private Ryan. Like I said, I watched it yesterday, and it still holds a lot of sway. And they're difficult watches now. War movies for me have changed completely in that I can't watch them and be like, oh, I fucking love this movie, man. I'm just sitting here just watch this, and this is gonna be great because it's never great because it always it things that happen in war films are things that have happened to me. So like, it immediately takes you back to those moments and it changes them completely. So the things that I used to just enjoy and just think were just so cool and great and heroic and awesome. Now I'm just like, fuck, it's a totally different feeling when you're actually in that. And so now when I watch a war film, I can't help but put myself in that film.
yeah,
If that makes any sense, where it's like, okay, if I was there and this was happening, what would I do? What would be my reaction? Because you can't help but do that. Like it's like if you did any job and you watched a movie, and you're watching that actual job, you kind of put yourself in it. Like, well, what would I do? How would I react in this situation? So I think that's what happens now for me. But I tend to just appreciate the ones that capture it more accurately. Something like Generation Kill on HBO is an extremely accurate portrayal, shockingly so in many ways. And then the best documentary I've seen that is just I can't watch it anymore. I watched it once, I'll never watch it again, but I still think it is. You ever want to get a real taste for how it is Restrepo.
yeah,
But yeah, I'll never watch it again. I can't. It just fucked me up worse than fucking Chernobyl,
yeah,
which is already working me over. But there's a lot of really well made ones, and there's a lot of terrible ones. Like Hurt Locker is a terrible fucking movie, yet it won fucking Best Picture, which is the greatest irony to me that the Hurt Locker won Best Picture. It just shows like how disconnected people are from like what combat really is when they reward a movie that is so grossly inaccurate. It, it's just hilarious to me. I laugh about it. You ask any combat veteran about the Hurt Locker, and they will tell you the same thing. So you don't have to take my word for it. Ask anybody that's served in combat, not served just sitting on a base.
yeah.
But yeah, the weird thing is I still appreciate war films. I just can't say I enjoy them, if that makes sense. Like to say, oh man, it's such a great movie. I love it. It's so great. It's a great watch. It's like, I think there's great war movie. I think I agree with you. Saving Private Ryan is fucking, it's great. I think Black Hawk Down is great, but that's just different. It's a different experience for me watching those now. So that's that's ultimately where it sits at this point. But I'm glad that I'll tell you this. The one thing I'll say is that I am so glad that people continue to make these films.
Sure.
Because if they didn't, then it's like just saying that none of it mattered, that you don't matter. And we don't care about I'll tell you one thing is soldiers don't give a fuck about the politics. We
No.
don't have any effect on the policies. We're trained to fight wars. Then we get sent to these wars. That's what it is. We don't go there and say, hey, actually, I don't believe in this fight. Those are called conscientious objectors, and they get, shipped off and sent away, and they don't do anything. But that's not what soldiers do. Soldiers train to fight. It's their job. It's not their job to object, unless you're seeing, an unlawful act or something that's going down. But I'm just glad that people still take the time and the care to make these movies. And sometimes they make some really great ones. And I think it is kind of a great tribute to these people that have served dead and alive. So I'm glad they keep making them.
Good.
So with that, let's jump into some listener questions, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's see here. David is saying, please do a deep dive on Godzilla King of the Monsters and what the future of the Monsterverse looks like.
Can we wait until next week? Because I actually want to see it. I'm seeing it this weekend. I'm seeing it soon.
Yeah, we can do that next week.
Because I don't want to be spoiled. Pussycats.
Well, yeah. I don't know that I can.
And also the movie comes out this weekend, so people will have seen it by the time I do the next part.
Yeah. I'm going Thursday. I already bought my tickets. Me and my kid are going. Let's see. And what is the most memorable scene? This is from Ulysses. What is the most memorable scenes you love or inspired? Oh, okay. Wait, sorry. This is Dark Knight trilogy. What's the most memorable scenes you love or inspired?
For me, it's probably the opening bank robbery in the Dark Knight. I think that's amazing. I think that's a beautifully shot scene.
That's a tough one because there's so many great scenes. I really love the scene between Batman and Joker in the police room, interrogation room. Sorry. That's probably my favorite scene because that is like just putting these two characters together in a locked room. I think is just brilliant. Mm-hmm. And I love their interaction. It's like you just have absolute crazy with like this stoic righteousness, like butting heads, and it's just so fucking awesome. I absolutely love that scene, and I love the scene with the Bat Pod versus Joker when he flips the truck and everything. I remember seeing the Bat Pod thing for the first time in the theater, and I was like, "Holy shit, that thing is amazing!"
Yeah,
like where he rides up against the wall and all that other shit. I was like, "Fuck, that's fucking badass, man!" Never saw that shit coming. So
I stand by it. I think my favorite scene is the opening bank robbery in The Dark Knight. I think that's a masterful sequence.
So did you just turn the movie off after that?
No, I mean I love the whole film. Dark Knight is probably my favorite superhero movie still. I love it. I mean, it's a perfect movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to rewatch it. I've always loved Dark Knight Rises as well too, though. I know that a lot of people don't, but I love that whole trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. Pat Torf wants to know, why is an alarm clock going off when it actually turns on?
Mm-hmm. That's a question that I think that you and I, neither of us are really qualified to answer.
Yeah, I can't help you.
Why doesn't egg get hard and pasta get soft when the water's hot?
Wow.
It's like
what if CAT actually spelled DOG?
I know. Yeah.
That's from Revenge of the Nerds too, by the way. Armando wants to know, on the last episode of Game of Thrones, did you catch the Sin City Dame to Kill for Once Upon a Time Mexico homage when Jon killed Dany?
I mean, is it even a homage though? I don't know.
I don't think
reading into it so much. I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a lot of sequences where two characters they move in for a kiss, and something happens where one or the other kills.
Oh
them.
yeah, God, many times.
We've seen it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's almost a cliche, really.
Yeah, it's true. And I knew that was gonna happen as soon as he was like, "You'll always be my queen." I was like, "Oh fuck, here we go." Siraj, sorry. Favorite directors. His is Spielberg, Nolan, Villeneuve, Lynn Ramsey, Snyder. John McTiernan, Tony Scott, Steven Spielberg. Um, those are my tops. Ridley Scott. Fucking Wes Anderson.
I mean, for me, probably Scorsese,
Scorsese, yeah. Fuck Scorsese.
Kubrick, Nolan nowadays, and
Nolan minus Dunkirk for me.
Tarantino.
Oh yeah, fuck Tarantino shit.
Yeah, I like Lynn Ramsey a lot too, though. Lynn Ramsey is getting up there. It was a lot, there's a lot of great directors. They're all Spielberg too, of course. I mean, and Wes Anderson, like you said.
Yeah,
it's hard to narrow it down, to be honest.
It really is, but there's like kind of my standard go-tos.
Yeah, me too.
That I can rattle off very quickly, so those are always.
Paul Thomas Anderson, but I prefer early Paul Thomas Anderson than later Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah. Well, that is it for questions this week. So, thanks for submitting, and I think that about wraps us up. I hope everybody's has had, by the time you're listening to this, has had a good Memorial Day, and paid some tribute along the way. And yeah, that's about it. Hopefully we'll have some cool news and some cool breaking shit that will come down the pipe this week.
Oh, shit.
Who knows what could happen? I think that Ford versus Ferrari trailer is going to drop this week. That's my estimation.
I can't wait to see that.
I can't wait for you guys to see it, man. It's so fucking good. I guarantee.
I just want to see the movie at this point, though. Like, really, show me the movie.
I got a good feeling about it. I think it's going to be fucking awesome. So, anyways, we'll see what the week has in store for us. By now, you guys have already absorbed it, and we'll talk about it next week. So, thank you again for joining us. Please hit us up on iTunes, give us a review, give us some stars, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys. So, peace. See you next week.
Peace, love, recycle.
So Canadian.